Monday should be interesting. See how the market opens up and everything, or even Sunday, I guess, with futures. See.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting right now is with First Republic. Like, I don't know why First Republic is doing so poorly, but like in my opinion, I just think that people know something about First Republic on the back end that other people don't. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw someone on
like
TikTok.
investors
They
know.
like, yeah, I saw something on TikTok. They like drove by a First Republic, and it was like the lines were like out the door. Like everybody's looks like they were trying to get their money out too.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah, they were like, I think it was on TikTok or Twitter. I don't know if it was a real video, but if it was, they said they like drove by it, and it was like a super long like line, just big, people trying to get their cash out.
got it.
Uh, mm, yeah.
I think it's probably a lot more fear driven because now I don't know anyone's individual situation, but I can't imagine someone who like needs $250,000 like ASAP.
Yeah, same. I mean, I also don't know. Like, I don't know. For me, just the whole First Republic thing. Like, that's the only one I'm like interested in. Like the SVP, like it's done. Like that was extremely fast, right? Like, there's not really much anything anyone else can really do about it besides the fact that obviously there's some people that like some businesses that can't that weren't able to make payroll on Friday. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah. One guy in our group, he was telling me, I didn't hear back from him. I was trying to message him to see, kind of what happened, but he had sent me basically a message, and he was saying the same thing, like they couldn't make payroll on Friday. He has like, I think he has like a law firm or something. I was like, man, that sucks. I was like, did you hear back, from anything? Did they? I don't know. I don't even know what the protocol is, but I didn't hear back from him. I'm sure he's probably calling around, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the press release right now doesn't really like. I think it doesn't say much. Like they're saying, like, yeah, like we're gonna be able to get you your money, but like, it's like, all right, when like if you have me
Yeah.
payroll on Friday, like,
Mm-hmm.
so and I'm sure people are already in the process of trying to get their money like out, trying to do wire transfers and stuff. So we'll see.
No, I know. I've gotten a couple of messages of like this is going to be more of a reason for crypto. I'm like, I don't know about that one.
It's funny. I was talking to somebody, and it's like everybody's like, "See, even big banks go bust," and I was like, "See, but you can still get your money back. Like it's insured. So like, there's a difference between crypto going bust and a bank going bust. At least we know like the government can step in and back and stop and give the money back. It sucks for companies though, because this is a very special bank too. So
Right. But the
Yeah.
whole thing, I think too, and it's sad because it always boils down to this, but it's a faulty management. Like they just lent out too many loans to too many different things, and they weren't able to cover different positions, and now they're stuck where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had someone else message and say something about the what was it about? It was about like putting into like altcoins, and I was like, yeah, again, like it's same thing like you said. Like I mean, as long as you don't have over 250K, like you should be fine relatively. Like even the FTC was saying like yeah, like for that process, like it's you know it it's relatively short the amount of time that it would take them to get you your money compared to like obviously if you're uninsured like that's if you have over the 250 amount it's a little different so
Right.
Yep.
But that'll probably be the main discussion Monday will be between the FDIC and who will acquire the bank?
Right. Yeah, they're trying to get that money back quick too, like people's money back, because everybody's watching now, So it's like if they don't get it back quick enough, then people just panic. People are going to start, thinking about other, try to get like the First Republic. Then maybe it'll be another one. People try to get their money. So I was reading something they're trying to get it back pretty quick. But even like on the crypto, I think there was like a crypto. I'm not too versed with it, but I think it was called like Silvergate or something. I feel like they were down pretty bad too on that 2 days ago as well. Like pre-market, I think they were like a lender or something, and they were. It was them and First Republic. I mean, in Silicon Valley.
Coinbase
Aren't they done?
and Binance cut ties with Silvergate.
But Silvergate's getting liquidated though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's not really like it's on the outside, from the outside looking in. I think for the most part, it's kind of interesting to watch this unfold in 2023. Not something I thought I would ever see in my lifetime. But then again, I'm glad it's not like it's one thing if it's one thing that it's like Silicon Valley Bank. It's a whole other thing if this was like Wells Fargo or JP Morgan or Bank of America or any of these other banks. Then we would have a massive issue on our hands.
Right.
Which, in all honesty, even though there's no like contagion risk right now, there is like a part of me that's wondering like how many other banks actually had these type of assets that came due for Silicon Valley Bank that may face similar issues or may now be scrambling to look at their books a little bit closer, a little bit tighter, make sure they start getting rid of stuff and protect their downside. Because usually it's usually not just one bank that's doing this. It's just like everybody's a copycat in the industry, in all industries. Like one person is doing it and it's like, oh, it's not that bad. Everybody else starts doing it. So I do wonder if Monday we'll start seeing a lot of movements, especially in the bond market, where banks are just making some subtle moves to try and shore up their books again. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. I wonder how this will affect the 2-year bond market because it's already been in trouble.
Yep.
At least we ain't got to worry about Jerome coming out and doing a 50-point basis increase anymore. So, nice.
Yeah, Kalechi, I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, I mean, yeah, the whole like tech side of things is like, all right, that's like very like siloed into, this type of bank. But again, yeah, it's that bonds market type, like it's just treasury bond deal. It's like, all right, like who else is holding like these low yielding treasury bonds that are going to basically not devalue, but decrease the value of the assets on hand. So yeah, we'll see. That's I think that's like the big thing that like anyone that's like really really digging deep into it, it's like, like, all right, who else who else has these on the books? Because so
yeah, that's crazy.
Awesome. So I think enough people are coming in that I'm going to just start a Jabari, if you want to start basic introduction and how you, kind of what you do and how you approach finances.
Cool. So my name is Jabari Taylor. I'm a content creator on here and other platforms, mainly short form content. I speak mainly about business news, and now I'm like adjusting and switching more into like kind of career side, like career opportunities and career tips as well. So anything like in regards to like any business news, like anything, whether it's like previous throughout the year that, what we start with in terms of just all the layoffs in tech and Twitter and all the layoffs that we will most likely continue to have, or again, anything business news. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
I'll
How
pass
about
it
you,
on to.
Sultan?
Yeah, so my name's Katim Sultan. I go by Sultan Trades, and I've been on TikTok for about, I think I just crossed the year anniversary or whatever they call it, the year mark. And what I mostly post is a lot of stuff on trading. So I mainly trade futures and options. So a lot of stuff that I post, you'll see it. Whether it's technicals or charts or a pivot system that we mainly use to trade, you'll see me, posting a lot of stuff like that. And then I have a Discord as well with a couple members, and then collaborate with a couple other trading communities as well. That's my main thing. And I went to school for accounting, so I do some accounting work as well. A couple clients there, so mainly accounting and trading is my thing.
Nice.
cool.
How about you, Koichi?
So by trade, I'm an engineer, but I create videos focused mainly on personal finance. So talking about everything from how to pay off debts to how to save, how to make a budget, basically just doing the basics of finance. Every once in a while, if something intrigues me enough, I'll make a video about something going on in the business world. But generally, I try to keep my focus on directly to people's personal finances these days. But yeah, that's me as far as what I do, who I am, and all that good stuff.
Nice.
Nice, cool.
Yeah, because I'm Jonathan Judice. I pretty much am a long-term value investor, and I try to promote safely storing your money for the future so that you gain a above inflation percentage. And in personal life, I work at a restaurant and I do property management.
Dope.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, so the main point that I got everyone together is just I want to talk about your different approaches with money and how you found good and bad opportunity costs with holding or changing your outlooks.
Yeah, I could start. So I mean, in regards to, I guess if we go basically into investing, whether it's uh, depending on the type of investing you're doing, but I think that for me, especially when I started investing, I think that learning about whether it's diversification, or whether it's about short term versus long term holdings. I think that there's just once you start kind of going through investing throughout the years, throughout the decades, you kind of start realizing the idea that you can, think that you can beat the market or you can get a better return on investment because you think that you know something about a specific company, um, kind of starts to kind of go out the window when you realize that, one, long-term holdings normally outperform any individual investor, and then two, diversifying tends to outperform any individual investment. Um, so I mean, for me, that's kind of my principles. That's kind of what I've learned. I guess am I going on to a decade now? Yeah, almost a full decade now of investing. Um, yeah.
Nice.
I'll
Okay,
say,
I'll
yeah, go ahead.
clutch.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like for me, the first thing I ever did when it comes to investing, the first stock I ever bought was Apple. No, my bad. The first stock I ever bought was, yeah, it was Apple. Apple was the first stock I ever bought. And all I knew about investing was you buy a stock once and you're done. So I thought like all you needed to do was buy once and you were good to go. And I bought my Apple stock and I was like, I'm about to be rich. And that's all I knew about investing. But yeah, that obviously did not make me rich, even though like I bought it at the perfect time because that was right around when Apple was having its difficulties back in 2015, 16, 17, and 18. And it was like that stock, it tripled, but it didn't matter because it was one share of Apple. It's not about to make you rich. But, and for the longest time, that was all I knew about investing. But then I knew like, oh, do my company 401k and all this stuff, but I didn't really understand like all what was included or what you should have done. And then during the pandemic, I just started learning more. I actually had a financial advisor, which was the dumbest thing I ever did, especially for somebody who didn't have that much money. But after learning about it, I was like, oh my God, they're charging me how much for what now? Which is something this is why I'm like so passionate about telling people like, yo, don't jump into this stuff. Like you can do this on your own. You just need a little bit of education and you can get this thing going on your own. You don't need a financial advisor. But yeah, for me, it's evolved, and when I wanted to start learning, I just started reading books, and luckily for me, I started off in the deep end of dividend investing and learning about index funds and those kind of things, and so that was my entryway into like actually investing. So I never got too gravitated into the world of like I can be the next Warren Buffett or whatever, or like trying to think that I could like pick stocks or whatever. So it never really caught my attention, even though, like, of course, like you want to try your hands at these things, but it was never like a big part of it. And then plus, as you learn more, you just realize just how detrimental it is. You meet more people who tried their hands at it and got burned. And you're just like, you know what? I'm good doing the basic. Unlike in every other part of your life, it's good to be an average investor. It's very nice to be an average investor. I'm still going to make money. So that's all that matters. So that's been my history with investing and how I've evolved from where I was to where I am now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, especially as a trader. Like a lot of times I'll tell people like your best bet's always going to be being a long-term investor. Like even if you're trading and making money, you have to be putting it back into like dividend stocks or shares that you own, because if not, you're really just going to be chasing your tail. So like I learned that back in like I started investing back in like the 08, 09 crisis when I first started working, but I had like a small, like I was putting a little bit in for my 401k, but I wasn't, maxing it out or putting that much in there. And then I had a little bit in there and I left the firm. And I ended up, I think I had maybe like 10K or something in there, and I ended up cashing it out. And then like, that was like my first mistake that I learned, because I was like, I didn't think I had that much. But then when I look back now with how much the market's run from there, I was like, even that 10K would have been a lot more. So when I went to this is like before I started trading, when I went to my next gig, that's when I started learning more about investing and just, even if you're starting slow, just, a little bit each week, maybe $50 a month. And then maybe you try to get to 100 and, just small pieces, they add up. So fast forward, maybe like 3-4 years ago when I really got serious into trading, I still, keep that long-term investing mentality. But a lot of stuff that I do now, I went to options, which are risky as well. I still do option trading as well. But right now I've been, for the last year, I've been focusing, now that I can actually trade a lot better, I've been focusing on futures in some of these prop firms where I think the risk reward for me is a lot better, because I'm really leveraging another, company's money, less risk, but able to make more with trading skills. And then I just funnel it, small pieces back into the my long-term portfolio.
Nice. Yeah, no, I think the main thing with all of it is, and y'all have all brought it up, is the ability to have diversification in investing with everything, whether it be index funds, personal finance, and just realizing that that is to keep up with inflation. But the bottom line way to grow your wealth is your job.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with it. Like, I think sometimes we forget that the idea of investing is not just like to it's like it's both it's I think the main thing we forget sometimes is like investing is to protect your assets mainly from inflation over time. And I think sometimes we forget that and we focus more on the excitement of the market and the random gyrations of the market. And I mean, the main thing we're trying to do is we're trying to save a little bit of something so that when the day comes that we're like, you know what, I'm trying not to work like that anymore, we have something in our pockets and that inflation hasn't eaten it away and it will actually last us longer and we'll be able to produce some kind of cash flow for us to be able to do what we want to do on a regular basis. So it definitely is a thing that we have to always remind ourselves. I know I have to always remind myself, like, this is not just about making money. There is a very important um, need for there's like a very important reason that we're doing this whole investing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And especially if you're trying to plan out goals for not just you, but for whether if you have a family or your kids or retirement when you become older.
That's a good point. That's definitely a good point.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to with the prices colleges are these days. It's just like, my God,
I know, right?
this student loan, this college price. I'm like, yo, my kids, y'all gonna need to be some geniuses because I don't know about the school prices now.
Yeah, man.
No, I know, Koichi, you found out with recently buying a house how that whole thing is.
Yeah, home ownership. I mean, even going, you know how, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the saying, it's one thing to know something, it's another thing to know that thing. Because it's one thing like you watch all these videos, you know all this thing, and you're like, yeah, I'm prepared for this, but you ain't prepared for it until you start going through it, and it's like, yo, it is different. Like, I'm glad that I knew what I knew before I went into it. And I'm glad that I knew to take care of certain things prior to like buying a house and just preparing myself to go into it. But it just feels like there's always something. So like literally yesterday, I had to I had to get somebody to come fix my crawl space. There were some issues in my crawl space. So I was seeing that, I was just like, and then prior to that, I had to change my water heater. And prior to that, I had to fix my AC unit. So it's like every so often there's something that's just popping up with the whole house issue or owning a home. And yeah, there's always something. So yeah, you just gotta be prepared. If you're trying to buy a house, if you're thinking about getting into a home, just prepare yourself because it will cost you more than you think. You just had it literally is more than I ever thought that it would be. And that's even with me preparing for it, me trying to do all the numbers and it's just you won't know everything that pops up. And I'm glad that I still had the space to be able to do all these things. But at the end of the day, you just gotta roll with these punches, man. But it's good though.
No, I mean it's so true because so I was a big renter for a while until fortunately now I was able to put down payment on where I'm at. So hopefully I'll live in this house. But yeah, for a while it was just realizing, okay, yes, I've learned how to fix certain things, but I've also relied on someone else
Yeah.
whether it be a landlord or someone to come and repair. So it was not always on my shoulders to know how to do something.
Mhm. Yep.
How about
That's
y'all? If y'all had any house troubles or whenever you
no.
first
So
got
I haven't yet. So we're in that phase right now where we've been saving and been talking to some people and have a down payment. So we got our first kid on the way and we got the house. So
Hey, congratulations.
yeah, thanks, man.
congrats.
Appreciate that. Yeah. So I was laughing. I was when Kalichi was talking about the house, I was thinking that with the kid because it's all relative, house, investing, kids. It's you think you know it, and then like we were meeting with somebody today, a doula who's going to help us, with the birthing process and all that. And it's just like it's just funny when she's going through everything. We're like, oh, we didn't think of that. We've been reading, but you can never be fully prepared. So I think that's a good segue for or just synonym for like investing or whether it's home ownership or family. It's just there's always going to be these unknowns that you're not going to be able to prepare for, right? But you try your best, to at least have as much your ducks in a row as you can, because that's going to be our journey coming up soon enough. So, but
Did you
thankful
see,
for it, looking forward to it, blessed.
did you see the adjustment they made to the 529 where you can actually like take some of the funds from 529s and use it in a Roth IRA?
No, I didn't. That
Really?
that sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're allowing for anybody like if for some reason you don't use all the funds in the 529 or your kid decides not to go to school, you can still like they can still move the funds into like a Roth IRA and it can grow that way. So that's like I was like, okay, thank you for
Right.
this Inflation Reduction Act. That's really
Right.
doing
Yeah,
a
that's
whole lot of
good.
good stuff. Like, so, the
Hmm.
529 is really becoming like the ultimate account to have for kids.
Yeah,
So,
that's really good. Yeah, because we were thinking of, we were going to get one, but that was my thing. I'm like, well, what if the kid, who knows? Like you said, college is expensive, 18 years from now, who knows how the college system is going to be? Maybe it's a 2-year system, or maybe you go for a little bit and you do some work or a business or what. And I'm like, all that money that's in there, what can be done with it if it doesn't go to college? So
yeah,
I like that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like that move. Uh,
Are there any Sultan, for you? Are there any like just because like you're going through this now? Are there any like expenses that have like come up that like you weren't expecting prior to like now going through the like first child process?
that's a really good question. Definitely, I know daycare is a big one. Daycare is going to be a big one, so we've been saving for that. We're having a baby shower, and like since it's our first kid, all our family is like, well, don't worry about it. We're gonna, just
Yeah.
don't buy anything yet. We're gonna get everything, and I'm like, all right, we're that's good to hear, but we're still, saving because we're like it's still inflation, right? They're not saying it's a recession, but it feels like it's one. So, but I think the big ones are going to be like the child care, when that comes. And then, like Kalichi was saying, once we also probably get a house at the end of the year, I know there's going to be, some stuff over there too. So,
Yeah. Makes sense.
yeah.
No, I mean, not to mention, it's like, yes, being able to your family help out with the bigger, like a stroller or something, but
Right.
man, you can never have too many diapers. So
Right.
you always have that expense.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. Yeah, yeah, that's real though. I was talking to my mom about kids and getting married and all this stuff. I was like, luckily, like, I'm Nigerian, so one of the big things for moms in Nigeria is they're like, yo, once you have your kids, they just show up. Like, they stay with you. So I was like, yeah, that's gonna help me a bunch with childcare, at least
Yeah.
for the first few months of just having her around. When if my wife goes back to work and all that good stuff, or whenever I get married, because I ain't married yet, but yeah, like just that kind of thing. And then also another set is just like in the whole idea of just trying to prepare for kids. I told my mom, like, I don't want that many toys for this kid, so I'm just gonna be sending y'all this link to put money into this 529, and
Facts.
you can bless this kid that way. Like, help your grandbaby out a little bit. But yeah, it's so interesting when you start thinking about a whole other life. It's like, oh, this is different. It's different.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I agree. Same thing. Like, we were thinking the same thing. I'm like, I'm gonna be sending out this 529 link when it comes to these birthdays. Like, yeah, you can get her a gift, if you still want, but put some money in this too, because those toys just pile up. Like, like, just think all those toys that they play with for a couple of weeks, a month, and then you don't see them, and it's like that's some books right there. That's tuition. That money could grow.
Literally. Like, help us out. It takes a village to raise a child. Like, part of that is college. So I need y'all to help me out a little bit on that front.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, both of our parents are close too, so that's good. That they'll probably be able to take some of the days, which will be good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely agree. And back when and I was growing up, the main thing was bonds. So the parents, they pretty much gave bonds out because the interest rate was so good. You get a good, like, what was it, 9%? But so they didn't have anything like the 529 that you're talking about, Koichi. So
yeah, that's a good point.
That was the incentive part. But of course, you got during the kid's birthday like a Tickle Me Elmo, but
yeah. Yeah. One thing else I want to look at, since we talk about kids and 529 and all that, one other thing I want to look into are trust as well, because like I said, I do accounting work too, and I'm like, that's all I see, trust. Like, we'll go over, we do like auditing work, but I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and you keep seeing them, you're like, all right, like, there's something in here, you'll see it of kids' names, like all these people that have, wealthy people trust for, Elizabeth and John, this trust, that trust. And it's like, I'm like, all right, once you start seeing everybody have it, I'm like, I need to look into this to kind of see, what are all the benefits. I'm sure there's some tax implications. I think you can get around like escrow, different things like that. But once you see it once, and then over the years, I've been seeing it more and more, where I'm like, I think that might be something else to look into as well. For kids, putting some money in there. And then you hear the thing too, right, where like the trust fund babies, just from like, just like people will bring those up, just in talk. So it's like, yeah, there's definitely some money in there.
Oh yeah, I'm like, my kids gonna be trust fund babies, but they gonna know this. They know that hustle life too.
You're right.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Got to.
Yeah. By the way, I was just looking up. I was just interested about the Roth rollover for the 529. So it's a $35,000 maximum on the rollover.
Okay.
It's like what, 6 a year, right? So it will take 7 years to roll all of it over, and you can't cap it, or you can't contribute more than the annual limit anyway. So depending on what that limit is.
No, there's no annual limit on a 529. Oh, really? That's the one thing I was like, because I heard about what the Roth part, like I heard about the Roth rollover, and then like when you said it, I was like, wait, is there a limit on the 529? But there's no limit on the 529, but there is a limit on the rollover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. Honestly, if they had said there was no limit on the rollover, I was about
Yo,
to
people
say,
abuse
yo,
that
I wouldn't
thing.
even open up a Roth anymore.
Right, right,
I would just go to
exactly.
the 529, and it would just be like, you know how people do the backdoor,
Yeah.
backdoor
Hmm.
Yeah.
IRA. This is the same thing with 529, and you would
Yeah,
just see like people who make a bunch of money just use that thing to the max. And I'm
yes,
like, I
definitely.
don't have to what? Oh yes, I go use that thing. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
know the other big one too that people try and take advantage of is the HSA
yeah,
because you can compound it without taxation and it'll benefit you in the long run.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's cool.
So yeah, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm making too much dead space. Do y'all personally have anything that maybe is a idea you just learned or found something out the difficult way that you feel others should know from your experience? So,
Um,
for example, like when I first started investing, a thing most people do, and I fell prey to it, was I got a Roth IRA and I just contributed to it, but I didn't do anything with it. So it was just money sitting in an account, not doing anything. So long term, yes, I did get, taxation benefit, but it just sat there. So I wasn't getting any compounding or any growth. It was just tax free contribute.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, I know. I have friends who've fallen into the same thing. For me, the biggest lesson I've learned is not one is just not taking the time out to learn these things and having a financial advisor and them taking like a 1% cut and then also taking like a $5 management account fee as well and just seeing like just knowing how much that money has just gone to whoever's pocket that was.
Mhm.
And so, thinking about that, that's been the biggest lesson I've learned as far as investing is concerned. And then the other thing is like overconfidence with investing is another big lesson of like being like, I know this thing, and then just being like, I have no idea what I'm actually talking about. What is it? The Dunning-Kruger effect is like you start off learning about investing, and you're like, yes, I understand it all, and then it's like, wait a minute, and then you actually like start seeing all the understand and all the stuff that you have no idea about. It's like, oh, I really don't actually know anything at all. Like this is way more complicated than I could have ever imagined.
Mhm.
Um, so that's like overconfidence is one thing that I've definitely learned, and it's kind of put me in my place of just being like, you know what, I'm not good at this game called investing. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
but for the most part, I mean, the other thing with me with investing is just like, or with money as a whole, is like it's not the end all be all. It's also like learning to manage other things. So
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think some like for the viewers and for myself as well, things that I learned was like if you're working, definitely take advantage of that match. You know, if they're giving you that match on your Roth or your 401k, that's free money. So definitely always take the match. The other thing I was talking about a little bit when we first started was even if you have if you have some in your 401k or your Roth when you switch jobs, try your best not to cash it out because that was my mistake when I cashed it out thinking it wasn't a lot, but then when I look back, I'm like that would have grew a lot. So
yeah.
try not to cash it out.
Why did you cash it out?
Life.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
life. It's
I was
okay.
moving. I was
You needed it.
I needed it. Yeah, you know what
Yeah,
I
there's
mean.
nothing you
So
could have done. You needed it.
yeah, I needed it. You know what I mean. It was I was young,
Yeah,
younger,
it's
I guess.
sometimes you just need it. Sometimes there's a recession. Sometimes
Yeah,
you lose your job. Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay. I think though, for stuff like that, if you have to cash out, like that's why you need an investment account and not a 401k because you're
Mm-hmm.
going to pay a tax penalty, a big one, if you cash
Mm-hmm.
out like an IRA or 401k early. So that's why it's good to have a little bit in, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Robinhood or Fidelity or something.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I
We
agree.
don't mention the R word anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody says
Oh,
Robinhood.
man.
I'm not allowed to use it. Oh my God. I had to close every single account when I started working for Goldman Sachs.
Oh,
Yeah,
there.
that's right. Congrats on your new position.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I got promoted to vice president.
Wow.
Nice, congrats. That's big.
Congrats.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, you cannot trade as an employee. Like every single thing that you trade, you just have to get pre-clearance.
Mm,
And like a lot of the times it's not pre-cleared. Like they won't allow it.
mm, yeah,
Yeah, it's hard.
Really.
So
yeah.
there's no R word. Wait, what are you guys using? Catch me up.
Oh,
For trading?
Yeah.
I personally use TD Ameritrade and Fidelity.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Those are both legit.
Yeah. So I use the same. I use TD, E-Trade for like long term, and Fidelity for long term, and then just for like day trading, I use Dash Trader and Ninja Trader.
Ninja, how's Ninja?
It's really good. I just started using it probably like 6-7 months ago, and we've been using it to trade futures. But I really like it. It kind of reminds me of Thinkorswim, but it's really user friendly.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of like click and drag. Like you can just put in like your orders and your stop losses and your profit, and it's like just click and drag, and they have like so much like they have so many like indicators, and a lot of people in our group have even been it's like really slick. Like a lot of people in our group, or a couple guys in our group and girls, have been like making their own bots, so they're basically programming it to and then you can run it on real time or historical trading days to see how it goes, like how it works.
Oh
So you
my
can do
God,
this.
I want
Yeah, so
Ninja.
it's crazy. Yeah, like you can do like I'm not that techy, but like they're really good. So I'm just like
Who
marveling
else
at them when
uses
they're doing
Ninja?
this stuff.
Is this a new one?
Yeah, I don't know how old it is, but I've just heard about it recently. I don't know when.
Jonathan, do you know it?
I do not, but also I'm not a frequent trader. Everything I do is long term.
What, Kalichi, do you use it?
No. I basically only use M1 Finance and Fidelity. That's the two
Oh,
that I
okay.
use.
Wow,
Yeah.
everybody uses Fidelity? I thought that was like a punishment that I had to start using it. It's like because it's our approved brokerage. That's
Well,
so
those
funny.
those zero-based fees are hard to avoid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But their margin interest is terrible. Oh my God, it's like 10%. It's so bad. It's like painfully bad.
No, it's true.
Okay, well, we all need to go check out Ninja, it sounds like.
Uh,